Hello 50 Forward members, friends, and family. My name is Jonathan Perry, and I'm the Program Assistant at 50 Forward Madison Station. Today I'll show you how you can easily edit pictures you take with your smartphone using Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, you can download the app for free, sign up for your account, and learn everything Instagram has to offer by watching the short video tutorial links that I've posted in the Facebook comments below this video. While Instagram is a social media platform, today we'll be focusing solely on the photo editing tools this app provides. Be sure to stay tuned until the end, where I'll show you some of my favorite pictures that I've edited using Instagram. So, let's get started. Alright everyone, now you can see the front of my iPhone screen. And I just think it's important to note that whether or not you have an iPhone or an Android device, the download process for the Instagram app is relatively the same. And again, I have posted two really good short video tutorial links in the comments, the Facebook comments below this video, so that if you don't have Instagram, please feel free to watch those, download it, and then you can always watch this video back to help you with the editing tools that Instagram provides. So in order to access Instagram, it is of course already downloaded on my phone. The icon, which I will highlight right there, is in the upper left corner. So once you have downloaded Instagram and set up your account, this icon, which has the same picture that was on the television screen, will appear on your phone, and then you can just simply tap it like so. And it goes right to your Instagram homepage. So this is my homepage. As you can tell, I've taken a lot of pictures over the time that I've had Instagram. Like I said, I really enjoy this app. There are editing tools connected to your iPhone or Android device, but one of the reasons I love Instagram is because the layout of the editing tools are just really clear and precise, and in my opinion are just a little bit easier to access than those that are on your iPhone specifically. In the very bottom, you'll notice in the lower left corner a house, followed by a magnifying glass, followed by a cross, then a heart, and then the highlighted person, which is your specific homepage. For today's video, we're just going to be focusing on the person and the cross. So, as you can see, this is my personal page with all of the pictures that I have taken. And I'm going to scroll down here for just a second and show you the photo that we're going to be editing today. I'm going to tap right there and bring that picture up. So this is a picture of my little niece that I took several years ago. I believe it was the fall, and we were out and about on my parents' land, and she had a notebook and a pen with her, and we were walking down a trail, and she decided that she wanted to sketch the barn that you can see in the background there. And of course, you know, the beauty of smartphones, you always have it with you, so, you know, when these photo opportunities arise, it's so easy just to take out your smartphone and be able to capture, you know, some of these precious moments, you know, with your phone that you carry with you and you always have in the palm of your hand. So this is, of course, the edited picture that I took, like I said, several years back. And for today's purposes, I'm going to go to the original, and we will just walk through the editing tips that Instagram provides to take your smartphone pictures to the next level. So, as I said before, in the bottom you can notice those 5 icons. I'm going to hit the back button in the upper left corner of my phone right here to go back to my home page. You can still see the little person is highlighted there. So now, in order to access pictures on your phone, once you have signed up for Instagram, Instagram will automatically have access to the camera roll on your phone. And that is what the little cross button down in the very bottom center is for. So when I tap on that little cross right now, that will bring up all of the pictures, and you can see that I'm scrolling up here on your iPhone. And so there's my little niece and nephew down there as well. And so this is really great. So it gives you access, Instagram, to your camera roll so that you can take any picture that you've taken, put it into Instagram, and edit it. So for today's purposes, I've already uploaded the original of the picture that I just showed you of my little niece. You can see right now that it's a little bit darker, of course, than the original, which I did edit. Another cool thing to note with these pictures is that once you go into Instagram, Instagram will automatically kind of crop it for you based on what they feel like should be centered or whatnot. You can always change that, and the way you do that is just by taking your fingertips and pinching the picture, as I'm doing right now, and squeezing in, and then it pops out to the original size and frame of exactly what you took. So I'll go back to this one, and then that one. So you can see it kind of zoomed in automatically on it. If you don't want that, you can squeeze that picture to provide for the full print, for the full frame. In this case, I'm going to kind of go off what they, had originally done, and just kind of zoom in there really quick. Kind of get rid of that little green dot that is coming from the sun glare right there. So that just provides a nice centered picture. You can see my little niece Haley, the sun up in the sky, the barn in the background, and now we can head to the editing tools. So once you have gotten the picture exactly how you like it, in the frame that you like, you can click the next button in the upper right corner of your phone. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now it brings us to the wonderful editing tools that Instagram provides. So just a couple of things to note at first. On the very bottom, you'll notice two words. You'll see filter, which is chosen right now, and then you'll also see edit. We'll go through filter first. So when Instagram started, primarily, the only way to edit photos was just to throw what they call a filter on it. And filters are really great. We'll go through the editing tools in a moment, but what filters really are just pre-edited filters, which encompass all of the editing tools, just to provide you with different frames and looks and highlights, as you can see as I'm scrolling through. So they're just already preset. So if you're in a hurry, you want to do just a little something to kind of take your picture up a notch, you can just throw a filter on it, and I'll do a marrow right there, and boom. You can just see how the sun kind of brightens, the highlight of Haley's hair and nose. You can see the barn a little bit better in the background. So this is just a really easy way just to kind of go through, if you're in a hurry, just to pick something. I'll throw another one on there. There's Hudson. It kind of darkens it, makes the sky a little bluer. You can just simply go through and pick one of these that you like. A couple of my favorites, I like Heffy. In this picture, it's a little darker, but it really warms up your picture. Lo-fi right here in the center is another one that I like. So yeah, if you're in a hurry and you don't want to take the time to really go through the editing tools, you can click on one of these filters and just really take your picture up a notch. You'll also notice in the very upper center there is a wand. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that wand right now. And so what this does is whatever filter you choose, it gives you a leveling tool, a leveling wand, so that you can kind of change the settings within the filter. Usually if I'm going to put a filter on a picture, I don't really bother with this. If some of the filters tend to be darker, you can up what they call lux. You notice after I tapped on that wand, the word lux appeared in the upper center. So you can just kind of change those settings within that filter if you want to. You can notice that it's making it a little bit brighter up in this range. Taking it down, it kind of darkens a bit. So it just kind of plays with all those presets within the filter that you can adjust. So that's kind of a nice tool as well. So I'll go ahead and cancel that. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go back to normal so that we can get just the original shot that I took. And now that we've gone through the filter settings, I'm going to click on edit, which is in the bottom right corner down there. So I'll click on edit. And now this brings up all of the editing tools that you can use within Instagram. So we'll just start at the top right here. You'll notice adjust, brightness, contrast, structure, warmth, saturation, color and fade I'm not going to get into today. Then there's highlights, shadows, vignette, tilt, and sharpen. So these are just 13 tools, minus color and fade, 11 tools that you can really dig into, play with the settings and adjust to really bring out everything you want to in your picture. So before we dive into the very first one, which is adjust, I'm going to click on the wand again, up in the top middle there, and you'll notice Lux appears again. So this, kind of goes along the same lines with the filter. This kind of encompasses all of the edit options that we just went through. A lot of the times I will go ahead and just kind of, play within the range of it just to kind of see. It'll go ahead and brighten it a little bit, gives a little contrast, and I'm just, playing around with it. Usually I like to do increments of 25, so I'll start there, and then I'll maybe go up to 50 to notice any changes, all the way up to 75, and then to 100. And I think for this one, I think I'm going to, we'll do 75. How about that? So once you've played around with that first Lux option, which is just kind of the first basis just to kind of bring out everything, brighten it a little bit, then you can dig into the more advanced options. So now that I've chosen that, I'll click Done in the bottom right, and it'll take me right back to my editing tool. So we'll start with Adjust. So with Adjust, we've already kind of set the frame for this picture. We've got it centered kind of nicely, but with Adjust, and I'll go ahead and show you what it does, is that you can tilt it just a little bit to the left or right. So it really just kind of plays with the angle of the picture. And I don't know, I'm kind of liking a little tilt right there. Again, a lot of these are just playing with what you like, kind of what you saw in your initial picture versus the level you want to take it to, or how you want to increase the focus of it. So I think I'm going to leave it right there at 3. It gives a little bit of tilt. It kind of brings the barn into play a little bit more. Haley is centered there in the grid. As you see, you can still see the sun. So I like that. So I'm going to click Done in the bottom right, and we'll move on to brightness. And I will say that most all pictures, especially, with this one, with the sun being in the background, there's not a lot of front light, and so you definitely will want to add some brightness to this, especially if you're taking photos indoors. You're always going to most likely want to add some sort of brightness level to the picture. Fluorescent lighting is not camera friendly. So right here, we'll play along with those settings again. Like I said, it goes all the way up to 100, and as you can see, that really brightens it. And then if you take it down, you can see really how dark it is. This is kind of a cool feature. When you take it down, you can see the highlights in the sky, but then of course you lose the subject in the foreground there, which is Haley. So I'm going to start back at the middle, and I really did like how much brightness was there. It really played on the sun. It really brightened the barn. And it really brings Haley out as well. So I think for this one, I'm going to take it all the way up to 100. So once you've played with that level and you have it set, click Done in the bottom right, and then you can move on to the next one. Contrast, with contrast, some of those features are taken care of in some of the other options that we have down here. But just for today, I'll show you. So it's just kind of darkening those dark spots within the picture when you take it forward like that. When you take it back, it really kind of almost just fades all the colors, which I don't like. And so I think for this purpose right now, since we already are kind of dealing with some dark spots, I'm not going to increase those anymore. But like I said, always play around with it, and whatever you like, you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done, and we'll move on to structure. You'll also notice that just for use purposes, anything that you have chosen to do will be designated with a dot, like under brightness and adjust right there. So we haven't done anything with contrast. We're going to move on to structure. Structure is a relatively new feature, and I really like it because it really brings out, for instance, like the graininess in the wood, some of the detail in the grass. For the purposes of taking pictures with people in them, sometimes it might not be so great as far as facial features and whatnot. It can really bring out lots of detail in a person's face. So we'll go ahead and play with this right here and see what it does. See, it's kind of darkening it a little bit. Yeah, and you can see kind of in the wood, bringing out the moss that it's kind of grown on there. And I actually kind of like this because it really kind of brings the barn into focus a little more as well. So I might not go quite up to 100, so we'll go back down to 75. Like I said, using increments of 25 is a really good way to just kind of measure what you like in your picture. So we'll stick with that one. We'll click done in the bottom right and move on to warmth. Warmth is a really great feature, indoors, outdoors, and what it does is it really increases kind of the yellow, off-white hues in a picture. So as you can see, this picture is a little blue looking, so we'll play with this. And as you can see, it really, there we go. It really brings out the yellow in the grass, kind of the brown in the grass. It does make the sky disappear a little bit, but I really like its play on the sun right there. It really kind of brings out the rays in the sun. So I think I'm going to stick maybe with 50. I'll go back down and just show you again. So going all the way up to 50, kind of bringing out the brightness and the rays of the sun. So we'll stick with that right there. Click done in the bottom right and move on to saturation. So saturation is a great tool as well. You really, most of the time when you're taking a picture and using this, don't need to go up very much because it really makes the colors in the picture pop. So I'll just show you. We'll go all the way up to 100 and you can just see what I like to call how hot the picture looks, which is, you know, of course, kind of unnatural. So that is, of course, way too much. So I'm going to take it back down to 0 and we'll just kind of build a little bit going up to 25. Let's see, 50 might be a little too much. Yeah, that's a little too much. So I think we'll go back down to 25 just to give it a nice pop. Kind of brings out the red in the barn, the red in Haley's shirt, a little bit of the blue in the sky, and just makes everything pop just a little bit better. So we'll click done and move on. We're going to skip color and fade for today's purposes and move on to highlight. Highlight is another great tool. It kind of plays off of brightness just a little bit, but as I was stating before, when you could see kind of the melon colors in the sky, especially when there's a sunset, this is probably one of the only editing options where I'll ever go into the negative right there. So let's take that all the way down. Ooh, and I actually really like that. I'll take it back to 0. And then we'll go back down and see it really just brings out that sky in the colors where right here everything is a little bit washed out. You know, we've brightened it, you know, added the saturation. So actually, I think for this one, we're going to take some of the highlights out because I really, really like the way it's making the sky look in the background. So I'm going to go back to 0 right here for highlight and just see what it does. Yeah, it's really washing things out. I mean, that is pretty cool as well. It really makes the sun look very bright. But I think just because of the detail and because the sun was setting right now, I'm going to take all of that out. And we're going to go to a -100 on the highlight just to make that sky pop. So we'll click done. And we'll move on to shadow. Shadow kind of goes along with, you know, the highlight as well, as opposed to highlights, the shadow, so the darker portions of the picture. So let's play around with this and see what it does. So we'll go forward. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of blurring, making the picture a little foggy, especially at the top end right there. So I don't think we need to add any of that. So let's see going into the negative. Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's really pretty. It's a little low. So let's go back to about 50. I still think that's a little dark. So we'll do 25 on that. So let's, that right there. And 25. Let's see. Come on, 25. There we go. So that again just kind of takes a little bit of kind of the hotness or brightness out of the clouds, just to kind of make those pop a little bit more. Another thing I'll add right now is another cool feature that Instagram has is that right now we're in the shadows tool and we've got it set on a -25. If you ever want to go back to see what it looked like without what you had done, you just tap on the picture. So I'll do that now. Here, I'm going to make it just a little bit darker for now so that you can see. When I tap, it goes back to the original. So right now it's at -100 in shadow, and then you just tap on the picture with your phone and it takes it back to without shadow. So that's just a really nice way of, as you're editing, oh, do I like that? Do I not? What did it look like? I can't remember. You can just simply tap on that picture in any one of these tools, highlight, shadow, structure, and it will take all of that out, and then you can untap it and it will go back. So I'm just going to take that back to -25. I think that's what we decided on right there. And we will click done and move on to the next one. So, as I said, you can always tap on the picture under any of these to revert back to the original without any of these effects. When you're back out to the home screen, along the same lines, what's really nifty is you can also tap on the picture right now and it will completely revert back to the original. So right now you can see the original, and then I'll release my finger from the picture and boom, you can see everything we've edited and done, and it's just a really, really nice transition right there. So I'll go back to the original, and then this is what we've done so far. And you can see just the warm tones, the saturation, the highlight of the sun and the clouds, you know, everything we've kind of gone along to just take this and elevate this picture to the next level. So that is just a really nice built-in tool that they provide that you can kind of use as you're going along and testing things and seeing what works and what doesn't. So now we'll move along to Vignette. This is one of my favorites as well. I really like Vignette because you'll see right here as I'm taking it forward, it just kind of darkens and draws in the corners of the picture. It's almost like you're looking through you know, a glass or something into this world. I think it just really gives a nice ambiance to a lot of pictures. For this one, it's really darkening Haley right there, which I'm not too fond of. So let's see here. So for purposes of this, I don't know if I'm going to, let's see, maybe we'll throw a 50 on there, just, yeah. So you can see kind of in the upper right corner of the picture, there's a little bit of a sun ray that we get, kind of darkening it in right there, which I kind of like. It just kind of adds some more dimension and detail to the picture. So for Vignette, I think we're good. We'll click done and we'll move on to the next one. Tilt shift is a really cool feature as well. It's kind of requires specifics when you're talking about pictures, because what it does is it will blur out things in the foreground or background that you're really not wanting to focus on. So I'll go ahead and tap on tilt shift. There's a couple of options, the off button, so there is no tilt shift right now. There's a radial option and a linear. So I'll go ahead and click on radial, and as you can see, I'm moving it around with my finger right now. So say that we specifically wanted the barn to be the highlight of the picture. We would simply center the barn within that circle right there and release. And you can kind of see that it really blurs everything else out in the picture, including Haley, which of course we don't want to do for this picture. But it is a really cool option for, you know, if you're taking a picture of a big crowd and you really wanted to focus on one specific person or thing, to be able to use this just to kind of blur everything out and take the focus to exactly what you want to within the picture. Well, I'll go ahead and click on linear as well. So you've got radial with the circle and linear with the two lines. And so again, it's very similar. anything within this bar is going to be in frame, and then I'll release. And then you can kind of see how it, blurs everything else out in the upper and bottom part of the picture. And I actually really kind of like this, just for the simple fact that it keeps Haley's face and arms in focus and her drawing, and then you can also really see the barn in the background, as well as those highlights above the barn for the sky. So, I think I might leave that. It really kind of gives a cool feel to the picture, and this is one of the ones that I don't always use, but I really like how it's kind of blurring the sun a bit, but keeping the barn and Haley in focus. So I like that. So I think we will be done with Tilt Shift. So I'll click on Done, and we'll move to the last feature, which is Sharpen. Sharpen is a great tool. We all have different smartphones with different lens capabilities. Some smartphones are older, some are newer. So Sharpen really deals with the pixels of the picture, so that if you do have an older phone and the picture's a little bit blurry or not as HD or high definition as you'd like it, this can really bump that up a little bit. Most of the time you don't want to do too much, but for purposes of this video, we'll go for opposite ends of the spectrum. So there's none right now. We'll go all the way to the end. And as you can see, it really does pull things into focus. It really highlights some things in the sky. You can see the rays of the sun, how they sharpen as well. So I think for this picture, I usually don't do too much, but I think if we do about 50, it really brings out some of the blue in that sky as well. The rays of the sun, Haley's silhouette. So I really, really do like that. Let's get it at 55. I'll go back down to 50. All right. So now that we have finished with the last editing option, I'm going to click Done. And so that's it. Those 13 options, 11 of which we use today. Really, really nice layout, easy to access. If you've got the time, it really just bumps up the quality of your pictures. Like I said, we always have our smartphones with us. It's so easy to carry it around and just take it out and catch these, beautiful moments with your family, your friends, your work environment. So it's just, Instagram in itself is just a really great app to have on your phone, specifically to edit pictures. So what I'll do right now, and just kind of show you like where we came from, I'll go ahead and just tap on that picture, and it's going to revert back to the original. So there we go. So that was where we started today. And going through all of the editing tools, I'll release my picture, or excuse me, my finger, and that is what we have. I just think it is so amazing with technology to be able to have this in the palm of your hand, to be able to access it anywhere, and to really elevate the look and the quality of your picture. So we'll do one more. That's the original. And that is the final product. Hope you found today's video informative and enjoyable. I'd also like to mention that all opinions and tips expressed in this video are my own. I'm not getting paid to promote or endorse Instagram. I'm just a consumer who really enjoys this app, and I hope you will as well. So now I'll leave you with some of my favorite pictures that I've taken and edited using Instagram. And speaking of pictures, hold that pose right there. Just 1 second. Smile.